Joyce?
Judy,
No, Joyce.
my situation is rather similar to George. I did not want to take the Medicare D program because it didn't cover enough non-generic products, and I have a real problem with non-generic physically. A broker came out to visit, and on his sheet of paper, he had Medigap policies. Now, to me, that means like a second insurance that picks up the 20% that Medicare doesn't. I told him right off the top, I do not want Medicare Advantage, and I do not want an HMO. I said, I want to choose my doctors. He had all my medications, so he knew what my disabilities were. And he called my pharmacist and hung up real quick so I couldn't talk to him. Well, in Virginia, it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, that you have 3 days to cancel a contract. So I went ahead and signed for what I thought was a Medigap policy and for a Medicare D card that I thought would cover my prescriptions. Well, I went back to my apartment. I started reading it. Sure enough, I was in Medicare Advantage. I called my pharmacist. No, it's not going to cover your medicines. So I called, that night I called him right away. And I said, you have screwed up my original Medicare. Oh, no, you're just nervous and upset. Don't treat me like a child. That only makes me angrier. I said, he says, I've already mailed them. I said, well, I suggest you cancel them some way. So what I did, I got on the phone to Medicare. Then I called the company that had the Medicare Advantage policy. I faxed them a letter saying I was misled. I did not want that. And I also mailed that letter to the company. This was in February between the 20th and the 23rd. Well, they wouldn't help me cancel it. Medicare did tell me not to disenroll. This is a very important word in Medicare D, disenrollment. If I had disenrolled from that card, then I couldn't have coverage till 2007. And I had been getting my medicines the same way George was until this came along. And I got a letter from the Patient Assistance Program that says, according to the Office of the Attorney General, I believe that's what it said, we can no longer participate. You can no longer participate in this program because it is like a kickback. A kickback to who? I mean, it's free medicine for me, but who's getting a kickback? More bureaucracy. Well, the thing I'm concerned about is, the first thing is how I'm going to get all this money back that I had to pay out of my pocket for my prescriptions, which for one doctor is close to $400 a month. My rent is $750. Excuse me. So I was balancing, trying to pay my rent and pay my medicines. I wasn't getting any help at all. My daughter came up. She talked with the Area Agency on Aging. They talked to the Regional Office of Medicare. Now this was back in February. This month is the first time I have received something called your summary, that they are paying original Medicare, and it is then passed on to my supplemental insurance, which thank God I never canceled, but I'm paying for 2 Medicare cards. The insurance companies have total control over running Medicare. They have total control over telling your doctor what he can and cannot do. They have total control over controlling what medicines you take. And you want to know how I know this? I work for one of the top ones in the state for the executives. My concern is with the elderly. I have been almost evicted once. They give you so much paperwork. I'm dying from it. They're not letting us have the medications that they want, and that's not right. And this is the last thing, Judy. I told Judy I had this book. It's called the Merck Manual of Medical Information. And it talks about generic drugs. Now this is one of your largest drug companies. My mother died of a massive stroke. High blood pressure drugs. Generic versions are not equivalent to trade name drugs. So that's making me wonder, was my mother given generic drugs that weren't helping her? And then the other one for me is antidepressant drugs. Not all brands are substitutable. And it does say you can check with your pharmacy to see what's considered equivalent by the FDA. At this point, I don't even trust the FDA. In fact, there aren't too many people in the government that I trust at all anymore, especially after yesterday's news. And I want to say this on your behalf. When this first happened back in February, I met with Congressman Wolf's assistant as far as Medicare. I wrote him a letter because I could not get help with housing. I've been trying since '98. And as you can see, nothing's been done. So you better vote for her.